This practice today, we will work with cultivating a sense of lightness and ease in the body. We'll open up the heart and the sides of the body. And we're going to do a little bit more restorative yin-like shapes today. What that means is we're holding some postures a little bit longer, and we use the support of props like bolsters, pillows, blankets. This is a little bit more uh, um, rest and digest for the nervous system, coming into a state of ease and balance. And if at any time you're holding these shapes and it just doesn't feel right, or it's uncomfortable, or the stillness is too much, you can come out of the shape. And also you're welcome to leave the eyes open, and you can reorient to your space by noticing what's around you. And I have my props here. I have a bolster. A pillow could work, a longer pillow if possible. You can also use blankets. So if you have even one blanket, that will work. You can take a blanket and have it so it's folded up long and thin to support the length of your back. And before we come into the shapes, we're going to take some time to move some of the energy that may be in the body. Starting upright in a comfortable seat, you could sit up on your blanket, you could sit up on your pillow. I also have a block as well. And again, you could have a cushion, a blanket, use any props that are nearby in your home. When you find your comfortable seat, draw the shoulders up towards the ears, bring them down to your back. A couple more times, breathing in, breathing out. And allow the shoulders now to fall away from the ears, gently on the back. Take a cleansing breath into your nose. Exhale, sigh, audible sigh. We'll do two more. Breathe in. Let it go. And one more. Breath in. Let it go. And take the gaze up towards the ceiling. Slowly down towards the floor. Gaze now comes up, looking over the right shoulder, moving slow and with intention. Noticing, observing how it feels. Bring your gaze to the center and now over the left shoulder. And back to the center. Start to move the spine forward and back, noticing how it feels to move the body with the rhythm of your breath as you breathe in, coming forward in a cow variation, lifting up the chin and the shoulders on your back, exhaling and rounding, pushing through the back of the heart, drawing your chin in. A few more like this, breathing in, breathing out. And slowly return back to a tall posture. Bring your palms at the heart center. Inhale and sweep them down, reach up. Exhale, take the left hand over to the side. You could come onto your block or on the tips of your fingers as you reach your right arm up and over. Pulling your elbow and shoulder back. Create space and lightness on the side of the body. If you want to explore and you feel rooted in your seat, take your left hand to the right ribs. Breathe spaciousness and lightness here. Maybe you even visualize light filling this side of the ribs. And on a breath in, you come up, bring both Arms overhead, the palms will touch as you reach up and over now with the left arm, the right hand by the side. Pull your elbow and shoulder back so the heart is up and out and open. Left hand can come to the back of the head, resting. And the right hand, maybe it explores the left ribs to create the space in the side of the body. Slowly release, rise up, palms overhead, bringing down to the heart center. Breathing in, sweep the hands, reaching up, palms together, exhale down to the heart. We'll do one more. Breathing in, create this space around the body, a sense of lightness. Exhale, bringing that into the heart. And we'll do 3 more the other way. Breathe in, exhale, release. You could even visualize light surrounding the body as you release the arms. Maybe just notice how it feels to move in the shape. One more, breath in and out. And the hands returning back at the heart center. Take a brief moment here to notice the palms touching each other. If it feels warm or if it feels soft, maybe it feels, my hands are a little dry from the weather, the cold. Noticing the palms touching, the finger pads touching. We release. Bring your right hand to the left knee. Extend up through the top of your head. So you're breathing in tall. And begin to twist to the left. You could even look over your back shoulder. If it feels comfortable and you're not straining, take your gaze to the left side of the eye sockets to do a little bit of vagal toning. Release the twist, come back to the center. Moving over to the right side, bring your left hand to the right knee, lengthen through your spine, exhaling, finding the twist to the right. Perhaps the gaze goes to the right side of the eye sockets. And then slowly release the twist, coming to the center. Take the legs out in front of you. With the legs out in front, you can lean back on your hands, maybe on the tips of your fingers, and lift up with your heart as you draw your shoulders together on the back. Keeping your feet flexed. If you feel like you're straining or forcing the shape, you can take your blanket that's rolled up and place it underneath the backs of your knees. And I invite you to observe the energy, maybe sense it from your root, the pelvis, up your spine to the chest and across the collarbones, radiating across the heart. And release, let it go. Bringing yourself up to a tall spine, pointing and flexing at your feet. And mindful here that you continue to stay lengthened. If you notice that you start to round in the back and slouch, can you invite the tall posture again? As we're here pointing and flexing the feet, opening up the backs of the legs, the knees, the joints. Now take circles with the feet. And go in the opposite direction. Start to open and close the feet, much like a book. These can be small micro movements They could be a little bit bigger if it feels right for you. Notice how this sensation and movement affects the entire leg, all the way up to the hips. Come back to the center, point one foot and flex the other. And switch, point one foot, flex the other. A couple more times. Okay, now bend at the knees. Take your feet flat to the floor. The knees are bent. They can be wider than the hips. Lean back on the hands and lift up again with the heart. Sensing this openness and lightness. And release. Start to move the knees from side to side. And maybe you even start to bring a little more movement. If you'd like, you could even bring the right arm up and over to the side. You roll on the left side of the hips, and then same thing over to the other side. You could lift the left arm up and over to the right. Bringing in a little bit more movement, a little activation here before we come into stillness, getting out any excess energy. Kind of like a cross-country skier, but on the ground. I've been doing a little bit of cross-country skiing with all this extra snowfall in Anchorage. It's been lovely. A nice way to move the body in the dark and cold time in Alaska. We're going to return back to the center, lift up and out with the heart, drawing up, and notice any change of energy. You may observe that your heart's beating a little bit faster. Notice your breath, if it's also a little bit faster. And release. We come into a rounding position, kind of like a child's pose, but sitting upright, so a different variation. The feet are planted, the knees are a little bit wider than the hips, and you can also hold the forehead in the palm of your hands. If you do have a bolster, you could even place it so it's long ways and your forehead rests on the edge of the bolster. We'll be here for about a minute. Make sure you feel that it's supported. Notice this transition from movement into stillness and how it feels to breathe into the back of the body. And how breath expands across the back of your heart. And if at any time a posture feels uncomfortable or you're straining, you can always come out and find a shape that feels right for you. And if it feels comfortable, let your exhale start to become a little bit longer. This helps activate the rest and digest of the nervous system. Inviting ease, calm, grounded energy. We'll be here for a few more breaths. Okay, now when you're ready to come out, start to come back upright. And scoot your bolster off in front of you. We'll be using it again and releasing. Let that go. We're going to go ahead and come down to the floor to lie down, and we're going to come into a shape that's a supported butterfly or supported back bend shape. And you can choose if you want to take the butterfly shape with the legs. You don't have to. I'll show you the different variation. So we're going to take the pillow behind us. You can do this without a prop. If you don't have any props, you can do this without and lying flat on the floor. If you have the blanket and the blanket's rolled up or folded so it's thin and supports the length of the spine, you can use that in place of the bolster. The legs can be in this butterfly shape with the feet together, a little bit further away from the body. If you have blocks or blankets, you can bring those underneath the knees. If you feel like you're straining to have the legs like that, maybe you choose to extend them down the mat and they're long and the blanket under the knees. Once you orient with the lower half of the body, scoot towards the base of the bolster and start to lower down. Your head and neck can be supported. You might have another blanket for the head and the neck. Mindful that the chin's just a little bit lower than the forehead. You can also bend the knees and take your feet flat if you prefer. Sometimes I take this shape with my feet flat and the knees falling together. We'll be here in this shape for about 3 minutes or so. If you don't have the pillow or the blankets, okay, you can lie flat on the back. And you're welcome to close the eyes if that feels right, or you can leave them open if that's more comfortable. Allow the arms to rest gently by the sides. The palms could be facing upright. When you make your way into the shape, explore how physically the shape feels in your body. The way that the shoulders round or the shoulders open across the chest, your collarbones, the heart. Notice how the bolster or the pillow blanket is supporting you beneath. Notice your legs, the shape. And notice the points of contact to your support. The bolster meeting the back of the body, the pelvis on the mat. The points of contact with your legs and feet to the mat. Noticing the hands, maybe the palms are facing upright if it feels light and open. Notice energetically how this shape feels. Is it light? Is it tight in the body? Do you notice restriction? And if you have any resistance, soften around the resistance. Let your exhale become a little bit longer. Allow the facial muscles to relax, the space around the eyes and your jaw. We'll be here for about another minute or so. If you notice that the mind wanders, you can bring in a phrase into your practice, such as breathing in, breathing out, or maybe breathing in, I am, exhale here. Begin to deepen the breath, it becomes a little bit longer and slow and steady. Bring a little bit of movement back. Your head may rock side to side. You could move the hands and fingers. Slowly, if you're on the bolster, start to roll to the side and make your way onto the side and hold here briefly. And scoot the bolster off as you roll back onto the floor on the back, flat to the mat. You can pull knees in to the chest, maybe rock a little bit side to side. Take the hands to the knees and push them away from the body, back towards you. Slow movement, pushing knees away and towards you. Notice how it feels different now from when you were laying on the bolster to now flat on the floor. Slowly tracing circles with the knees. And then over to the other side. Slowly, if it feels right in your body, you can explore taking your feet and legs up to the ceiling. Your arms could come by the sides. Your exhale is a little bit longer than the inhale. Let your shoulders melt down into the floor, the back, the spine, your arms, the upper body relaxed and heavy to the mat, but the legs up towards the ceiling, creating this sense of lightness. Slowly bending at the knees, bringing them back down. Extend the legs down the mat. Begin to point and flex your feet while you keep your heels resting on the floor, pointing and flexing, the whole body moving up and down the mat. And then we release, finding our last shape, the shape of Shavasana, the pose of rest. You can stay lying here on the back. If you do, I invite you to take your feet a little bit wider than the hips, and you can place your bolster or your blanket back under the knees. This can take away any strain on the low back. If you feel like you're forcing the shape, make sure that you feel super comfortable and supported. So we're not putting in any effort here. This is a complete release of the whole body to absorb the benefits of the practice. If lying on the back doesn't feel comfortable, you can always come to the side of the body. Maybe you choose to take Shavasana sitting upright. We'll be here in this shape for about 2 minutes. Once you find the shape, take a cleansing breath into your nose. Sigh out the mouth, any remaining tension. One more, breathe in. Let it go. Allow the weight of the body to be fully supported by the earth, by any props. Notice the points of contact to the floor, where your feet meet the floor, heels meet the floor, legs meet the floor, pelvis meets the floor, the hands meet the floor, elbows meet the floor, the shoulders meet the floor, the length of the spine meets the floor, the back of the head meets the floor. Notice these points of contact to the floor. And notice the front side of the body. Perhaps it feels a little bit light. Separate the teeth. The tongue softens. The jaw relaxed. The space around the eyes relaxed. The space between the eyes relaxed. Sensing into the whole body, breathing in, breathing out. We'll be here just a little bit longer. I'll let you know once the time has passed. Begin to notice the sounds that you hear around you. Bring your awareness closer to the space just outside the body, observing the temperature of the air. The placement of any props, such as a bolster or a blanket. And the tide of your breath that brings you back. When you're ready to transition, your breath deepens and you can invite slow movements, such as moving the hands and fingers. The head may rock side to side. Slowly, eventually rolling onto the side of the body to come upright, enough to pause and close our session together as we bring the palms together at the heart, drawing inward, honoring a lightness of being, honoring spaciousness that makes room for what inspires you: creativity, joy, ease, honoring that space within you. Wishing you peace, peace, perfect peace. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you for letting me guide you today.